I could divide my life neatly into 2 parts, before beating parasites and after. After is better. A few years ago, I made the decision to start improving my health for the sake of being more focused. I slowly started reading about different healthy diets and started to gain deeper insights about diet and nutrition. Eventually, I uncovered some of the universal truths in the world of health and nutrition. I slowly started improving my diet and seeing significant progress. I cut out junk food, white flour, and refined sugars. My mood started getting better, and I was feeling much better than before. I was less depressed, more energetic, and had a lot more clarity and focus. I kept tweaking my diet and seeing improvements. I thought I had conquered health. At that time, I was on a raw vegan diet, and I thought I was the healthiest person on earth. I still, however, had some unusual symptoms that I accepted as normal. For example, and even though I was seeing major improvements in this area, I was very often still extremely depressed, and I just attributed it to psychological factors and dissatisfaction with life. I also started itching a lot, especially around my anal area. I thought that was normal too. I had heard about parasites, but never suspected that I would have them. After all, I've been on what I thought was a perfect diet for a while. How could I have such a disease? One day, I just got sick of my itching and my depression, and started researching what could be the cause. I read somewhere that my symptoms could be related to parasites. At that time, I was ready to accept that I had parasites, and my intuition led me to do so. So I did. I cut all sugar and carbs and went on a strict diet right away. In a few days, my itch disappeared. I was baffled. All these years, I thought I was on a perfect diet, when in reality, I was doing more harm to myself than good. While I was on a raw vegan diet, I was eating abundant amounts of fruits every day, which are loaded with sugar. I thought that natural sugar is okay, and in fact healthy, so I just overdosed on fruits. I couldn't have been further from the truth. The amount of sugar I was eating caused my parasites, which I now believe I already had since years before, to become very acute, which manifested in such symptoms as itching and the extreme depression. These symptoms all went away as soon as I cut sugar from my diet, but they would always come back when I ate a little bit of sugar. I stayed away from sugar for a while, and gradually, I started feeling much, much better. Unfortunately, I did not know most of the information that you'll find in this course, and therefore, it took me a few months of a strict zero sugar, zero carbs diet to see improvements, which was good, but not optimal. It was like I was transforming into a different person. I never thought that diet could have such an effect on one's state of mind and happiness. The biggest difference I noticed was the disappearance of my depression. Very often, I would get extremely emotional and start crying for no obvious reason. I just felt down and completely unhappy. It boggled my mind, and it happened very often that it was extremely affecting my life and my productivity. Most of the time, I couldn't get anything done because I was too depressed. After I cut out the sugar, all that went away. I continued educating myself about diet, health, and parasites. I constantly worked on improving my health. The symptoms still came up when I ate any amount of sugar, but I felt such a huge difference that I didn't mind them every once in a while. As I continued to learn more about parasites, I started taking some antiparasitics to kill the parasites, which worked to an extent. I was slowly, but steadily, making progress. I kept seeing small improvements over time. However, I would still get the symptoms back whenever I ate anything sweet, even if it was literally a handful of berries. I knew that something was still wrong and needs to be fixed. So I researched more. I kept asking experts on the topic and reading books until someone shared their experience with me. He told me you could never get rid of parasites completely until you remove the mercury fillings in your mouth and detoxify the mercury from your body. That was the most significant health discovery I ever came across. Mercury was the culprit, not sugar. As I pondered this further and read books on the topic like The Toxic Time Bomb, Mercury Amalgam, Dental Fillings by Sam Ziff, it struck me that I started having my unusual depression and crying attacks very shortly after I had my first mercury fillings. Ever since then, I was inflicted with a deadly depression that I endured for years without knowing what was wrong with me. My mother had mercury fillings too, and thus she was also mercury poisoned. She passed some of that toxicity on to me, which potentially explains some of my weird behaviors during my early years. I already had my mercury fillings removed before knowing this, but I never knew that I had to proactively detoxify and chelate the mercury from my body. The doctor who removed my fillings said that it would just go away by itself, which was wrong. I still had a considerable level of mercury in my bloodstream, which is why I was never able to get rid of parasites completely, no matter how extremely hard I tried. Parasites will never leave if mercury is present. They feed on mercury. And so I kept researching, learning, and educating myself, not only about parasites and mercury, but also about how to have infinite amounts of energy and have the best possible health I could ever have. I wanted to be bouncing off the walls with the energy of a newborn. As time went by, and as I researched and read every health book I could lay my hands on, and attended every health seminar I could, I started putting the pieces of the puzzle together. I found out ways to quickly detoxify mercury from my body. I learned how to strengthen my immune system to the point that would make eliminating the parasites a no-brainer. I discovered so many things that had a great effect on my health, and started doing most, or all of them, every day. That was when I won the battle against parasites and started experiencing a level of health that I never thought was possible. It was, and still is, unbelievable. Through my battle with parasites, I learned how important it is to remove such toxins from our bodies and the significance of our diets in our lives. We truly are what we eat. The food we eat from day to day directly affects how good we feel, the things we manifest in our lives, the people we attract, and how much drive we have to accomplish our goals. Months later, and as I reflected back on my experience with parasites, mercury, and diet, I started offering people advice on how to eliminate their parasites. I was offering them information that I wish I had known when I first started. I realized that I knew about several cutting-edge strategies that, if combined together and done simultaneously, would have a dangerously powerful effect on parasites and completely eliminate them from the body. These strategies make up the Parasites Relief Program, which you can download right now and be reading within 5 minutes, and be on your way to curing your symptoms and having your life back.